It was well known in the village that lawbreakers would be punished. Their isolated location and abundance of food should have made life a paradise, but occasional acts of greed still left their infrequent marks on life. This was something deeply different. A girl was dead, and every man, woman, and child in the village seemed to think that Daisuke was to blame. He was well aware of his standing in the village. The others called him Buta, pig, because the one time he'd fallen asleep outside in the rain and awoken caked in mud. He was just as aware of his drinking problem as they were, but killing a woman was well beyond his limits. Daisuke knew that the summons he'd received were as good as a death sentence, but he still had hope. Daisuke may have been prone to clumsiness and overindulgence in sake, but he was no killer. Surely the village council would see reason and understand this. How unreasonable could they be? In truth, Daisuke found the council to be entirely unreasonable. Though a few brought forward good points about his possible innocence, there was a terrible thorn in their side. Kazuya, one of the more respected council members, made a long-winded speech about Daisuke's piggish attitude towards those around him. A speech which he finalized by accusing Daisuke of killing the woman in a drunken rage that he couldn't possibly remember. After this, most of the lower-ranking members of the council echoed Kazuya's accusation, and Daisuke felt the hisses and jeers from the spectating villagers around the council drag down his back like nails. He knew he would be sentenced. The only question was, how would he be put to death? Strangulation? Decapitation? In an isolated village such as this, beating to death wasn't out of the question, and Daisuke found himself silently wishing for a swift sword instead of descending fists. He became aware of the pounding in his throat. Cold shivers replaced the twitches in his back, then an almost feverish heat on his forehead. Beads of sweat formed in the cold night air as the council began to vote. One by one, the verdict of death gained more votes. Only 2 among the council seemed to believe in Daisuke's innocence. Finally, the vote arrived at Kazuya, who stood up and held the tally aloft before even making his decision known. Daisuke felt his heart sink as he swallowed the final count. 6 for guilty verdict, 2 for innocence. He would be sentenced, and then he would be killed before the sun set tomorrow. No affairs to put in order, no wife to kiss goodbye, no money to leave to the few people he called friends. Just a man who was alive one day, then dead the next. Daisuke buried his face in his hands, aware that the crowd had ceased their hissing and jeering. Now they whispered lower than what he could hear, apparently unwilling to even insult him out loud. In this new silence, Daisuke became aware of something unnatural. There were footsteps approaching from behind him. Too careful to be a bear, but too heavy to be anything else. Opening his eyes and whipping around, Daisuke drew a sigh of relief. It was only the local Kirin, a rare benefit to the village's proximity to the mountains. Legends called the beast noble, and there was a keen intelligence behind the eyes that Daisuke now found himself staring into. Likewise, there had always been accounts of Kirin rewarding those of good intention and brutally punishing cruel-minded individuals. That this one seemed intently focused on Daisuke could easily have a terrible thing, but he knew he'd done nothing wrong. Still unwilling to move despite the beast's usually good-natured behavior, the man found his gaze wandering upwards to the bladed horn on the thing's scaled head, as long as his forearm, and with a cruel hooked tip that no bear would dare cross paths with. After a thorough sniff, the Kirin almost bowed to Daisuke before turning towards the council and sorting. Many pairs of eyes were fixed on it, as if they too had been expecting the graceful beast to impale the accused. But the Kirin had not impaled Daisuke. It even brushed against his side as it moved past, almost cat-like in its behavior. None of the council moved as the beast continued walking towards them, larger than a warhorse in its posture, but so graceful that its heavy footfalls registered more as vibration than actual noise. Each member of the council received the same treatment that Daisuke had been given. A look and a sniff was all it seemed to take. Some took a little longer to examine, while others took a mere glance before the Kirin passed them over. Finally, The beast stood facing Kazuya, and the change in its posture was immediate. The Kirin's tail was sweeping back and forth like a cat with its sight on easy prey. And the beast was much more rough as it leaned in to sniff the councilman. Whispers started to ripple through the crowd as the Kirin finished its inspection and pulled back with a definitive snort. Kazuya was standing very still, staring apprehensive up at the beast that now loomed over him. The remainder of the council had given themselves a hearty distance, apparently resigned to the fate their compatriot had doomed themselves to. After all, Kirin carried a reputation for a reason. There was no fault in their ability to sense wrongdoing, and if the creature smelled murder residue on Kazuya, he may as well have signed his own death warrant. With a low growl enough to rattle teeth, the Kirin lowered its horn and thrust it through Kazuya's chest, pinning his legs to the floor before rearing its head upwards and tearing the upper half of the murderer's body away.
Welcome back to the Stinker Snack Podcast. My name is Caleb, and I am joined by my co-host, Cal.
Your co-host, Cal. I thought you were my co-host, Caleb.
That is also true.
Both one and the same.
Equally co-hostiness.
Yeah.
There's equal
hey,
co-hosting.
I'm Cal, as always.
Yes.
Don't know what happened last week, but that one's been killed, and I've replaced him.
I see.
Old Cal is back.
I thought old Cal got killed.
Yeah, and then resurrected.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, was it Lazarus? Did Lazarus bring
It
back?
might have been Lazarus.
He's
you never
been
know.
playing far too much Evolve.
My game from 2015. If
That's
people
been
know it,
dead for
dead or not, I'm keeping that game
like
alive
over
single-handedly.
5 years. Been dead.
By alive, I'm 9 years.
I thought it was 2015.
Yeah, and it's 2024.
Well, I was saying that like at least 4 years of it being alive.
It died in 2016.
Oh God.
Yeah, maybe 2017. Came back, died again. Now I'm here.
I see. That's terrible.
Hey, we're talking about cryptids, right?
We are talking about cryptids.
We're here with a weird one.
Yeah. We kind of
One of
had
the ones of all time.
a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do with this one. We have a couple of ideas, but nothing really like solid. This is kind of like an Ardana bird situation where it's more folklore than it is.
We're gonna puzzle something out.
We are.
I think.
So today we're doing the Kirin.
Kirin?
Or the Qilin.
Qilin.
In Chinese mythology.
They are almost interchangeable, and we will use them interchangeably.
There are some differences between the two. The Kirin is described as more lithe and
Deer-like.
deer-like. The Qilin is described as broad and brawny, like a bear, or something similar to that, right?
Bearish, deerish, horse-like hooves, dragon face on both of them.
Yes, dragon face on both,
Antlers.
with an alicorn, or in the Qilin's case, two horns,
Yep.
just kind of on top of each other.
Well,
on both.
antlers more so, but
A bicorn?
bicorn, yeah.
Bicorn.
Because uni, one,
Yeah.
bi, two, tri, three.
Indeed.
Triceratops, three-horned face.
Yes.
There you go.
The tops of Triceras.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Sarah.
Michael Cera. What's he doing here?
I don't know.
Our surprise guest star,
Michael Cera.
Michael Cera.
Michael Ceratops?
Stop that.
So need someone to Photoshop Michael Cera's face with horns coming out of it.
I don't like
just
that.
strap it to the body of a Triceratops and call it good.
Strap it? What do you have, the body of a Triceratops laying around? Also, are we cutting the face off Michael Cera? That doesn't seem...
Yes.
Poor Michael Cera. What did he do to you?
I don't know. He probably ran over someone's dog at some point.
I don't
So
know of
that's the
any
reason.
controversy with Michael Cera. I know he's a weird looking dude.
I once had a
But-
cat
Who isn't?
with my car. It was a bad time.
Well, that's
It ran out in front of me, and I just heard a thunk thunk. I'm like, oh man,
Terrible of you,
It
Caleb.
felt so bad. I was coming off of work.
What a way to start it off. We end these with go pet your dog, right?
Yeah, but
Don't talk about running over cats.
But that's the beginning of the episode, right? So we got to do the opposite, right? It's character development, character growth. Character growth.
It's not growth if we start every single one being terrible.
Well,
If
look
the whole
at
arc is going up.
look at comic books. They killed Superman how many times?
Hmm.
All the times. So is that really character growth? Just telling the same story over and over again. It's fine. All right. Don't hit a cat
Don't do that.
and pet your dog.
Yeah.
All right. So I have the big book of monsters here, right? Encyclopedia of beasts and monsters and myth, legend, and folklore. And I have the Kirin. It's in here. So I'm going to read it. Okay? Okay. Good. Thanks, me. You're welcome, me. A type of gentle and proud species of chimerical unicorn from Japanese folklore, the Kirin is described as being covered with multicolored scales, having the body of a deer, the hooves of a horse, the tail of an ox, and a single short alicorn atop its dragon head. On occasion, it was described as looking like a lion with an alicorn upon its head, able to determine a person's guilt or innocence. It was said judges would, when able, use a Kirin to assist them in making a decision in a difficult case. The Kirin would know who the guilty party was, and using its horn, kill them. I see. Which is very interesting.
Much more of a mystical property than a traditional, it's a cryptid, I saw it in the woods.
Yeah.
And there it is.
And the Keelan is not a whole lot different. It's said that it's very a benevolent creature, that it's said that it won't even bend the blades of grass as it walks upon them.
Spooky.
Which is cool. It doesn't even kill the insects when it tramples upon them. Things like that. It's very benevolent to animals and things of the not like, and all those fancy little things and whatchamajigs and who's and what's it's. Yes, very descriptive indeed. But what interests me is that it does actually throw a slight parallel to the Western unicorn, and the fact that it judges like innocence in a way. And I guess it's a little bit of a different type of innocence, because unicorns, the way to capture a unicorn is to put a virgin underneath a tree, and
It'll come up to them.
It'll come up to them, and if it's not a virgin, it will kill them and eat them.
Impale them and eat them.
Yeah, all at the same time.
Yeah, unicorns get sold kind of short as combatants, because I know the Lion and the Unicorn.
Oh yeah,
the English
in Scotland
children rhyme. The Lion and the Unicorn, something something something. The lion beat the unicorn and chased him out of town. But a unicorn can, in theory, fight on par with a lion.
Well, the lion being Wales and England and whatnot, and the unicorn being Scotland. And so the battle between England and Scotland, and that's where the story comes from and all that. But yeah, unicorn, cool. I think they're cool. They got goat faces and big old goat beards, and that's how we should describe them, as big old brawny unicorns.
Yeah. Not just a horse.
Not just a horse, or some Seraphina. You know Seraphina?
From?
Were your sisters ever into Seraphina? I think it was Seraphina. It was like a horse game. I
got nothing.
I doubt it, because this was years ago, and I've got a couple years on you. But my cousins were so into Seraphina. It was almost like a horse gotcha back in the day, before gotchas were a thing. Which is, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, yeah, I can see why kids would be into that. But it had all the fancy unicorns and things of that nature, with so fancy and white coat that was as the morning snow, and a mane of pure clouds, and some dorky stuff like that.
Weird,
right? I don't like those types of unicorns. I like the angry ones that bleat like goats.
The fencer unicorn.
Yeah,
that's lining up and shot permanently.
Absolutely,
it's getting ready to impale you.
100%. But we're not talking about unicorns.
No, we're
mainly.
not.
Well, we kind of are, but we're not at the same time.
They're
we're talking
Eastern cousins.
We're talking about the Eastern unicorn, which I would say is definitely kind of cooler. right? Just
Scales are a plus.
scales are cool. Dragon head is dope,
Mm-hmm.
right? The idea of it being kind of like a judge,
An arbiter of justice.
yeah, is really cool, and you see that a lot more in Eastern folklore of these creatures becoming a lot more. I say symbols of things. I mean, Western are definitely symbols, but they tend to be a lot more malevolent.
Yeah,
You say?
Western dragons versus Eastern
Yeah,
dragons.
Western dragons versus Eastern dragons is the simplest one to go off of. Western dragons are really just beasts to be slain by heroes, and Eastern dragons are like thunder gods.
Oh, rain gods.
Rain gods,
water
lightning,
guardians.
thunder, storms,
Yeah.
fountainheads of wisdom.
Granters of wishes and immortality.
Gotta love those Eastern immortality seekers.
Always.
Just constant.
Always.
Not that, anyone's any worse or any different. Like, everyone kind of searching for immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
They just wrote more fan fiction on it.
yeah, death comes for us all at the end of the day. Memento mori.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we? Kirin. Well, in terms of, like, media that it's in, there's
Whole lot.
quite a lot.
47 Ronin, Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
All you Monster Hunters out there. Monster Hunters Kirin is a
Nightmare?
bastard. I don't
Fast, lightning, shock charge, all that.
like him. I'm a fan of
shock light.
Rujang for beating the
And
ever
ripping its horn
crap
off.
out of every
eating
Kirin
it.
it sees. Yeah.
Everyone loves Rajang.
Well, except for the Devil Joe fanboys.
Yeah. We don't talk about the...
Here's something fun. For all you Nergigante stands out there, I think that a Rajang, at the very least, a Furious Rajang, absolutely flattens Nergigante, and I will die on that hill.
That's a lot of hate coming our direction.
Bring it.
Why would you do that?
No publicity is bad publicity. I will make fun of Nergigante until the day I die. Because I see people talking about Nergigante soloing Shara Ishvalda, or Nakarkos, or
Fatalis.
Daladur, or Fatalis.
Yeah, no.
Not allowed.
Absolutely not.
But moving on from Monster Hunter, because I'll talk about there for 4 hours.
One of these days. We should do that.
Yeah.
But
Kirin. Also been in
My Little Pony.
Gross.
It was
disgusting.
in My Little... Look, I have 3 sisters, okay? I know far too much about My Little Pony than I probably should.
Inspired at least 3 Pokemon.
Probably, yeah.
I think I'm not a
Arceus?
Pokemon. Arceus, yeah.
I don't... Rapidash. I'm not a Pokemon person, which is surprising coming from us of monster enjoyers, but...
I mean, I can name your Gyarados, your Garchomp, Onix, Pikachu, Charizard. If it's been in Smash Bros, I got it. If it's a cool giant monster, I got it.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know really any of the new ones. When I think of them, I think of the older ones. Mm-hmm. I do like the Blade Puppy, though.
Blade Puppy?
The dog with the sword in the mouth, the legendary from, was it Pokemon Sword and Shield?
I have no idea.
It's a dog with a sword in its mouth.
Like Sif the White Wolf?
Pretty much.
Huh.
Yeah, it just has a sword in its mouth. I'm like, is it born with the sword in its mouth, or is it...
Yeah, he has to steal it. He has to pickpocket someone.
Right. It's kind of like Cubone. All right.
Yeah. Well, that's his mother's sword.
Yeah. Why is...
Maybe the sword's a family heirloom that gets passed down.
No, I meant the skull mask.
Well, that's his mother's
face, which is like... Does that mean that every Cubone's mother dies in a horrific tragedy? Kind of like a hamster.
Dies in childbirth.
Every single hamster ever.
Every hamster.
I've never seen a hamster that hasn't died a horrific death.
I know my uncle's hamster was accidentally left outside maliciously and froze to death.
Accidentally, maliciously?
Yep.
How does that work?
Left outside to frighten my uncle, and then in theory they were going to bring it back in, and then they forgot, and it froze to death.
I see.
I think. He had a funny name for a hamster. It was Mr.
Hands.
Mr. Winslow. Not Mr. Hands. No.
Don't look up that. Don't look that up.
Don't look up that.
Don't
look up that. What else has Kirin been in? Because they've been everywhere, media-wise.
Well, good thing I've got the internet right here.
The internet is helpful.
Let's just say anime, just in general.
Oh no.
Just in general, because you know.
Princess Mononoke they've been in.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
another one.
Naruto.
Naruto. Okay.
Yep. Final Fantasy, Dynasty Warriors.
Oh, Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact.
Disgusting.
We don't
condone that.
We don't condone that.
If you play Genshin Impact, there's something wrong.
A whole lot of Yakuza 3's got a Kirin on his back, which is cool.
Hey.
Final boss, Yoshitaka Mine.
So it's been in a lot.
It's been in a lot of things.
We'll summarize by saying it's been in a whole lot.
It's less of just a cryptid and more of a mythological figure up there with the Gorgon and the everything else. It's up there.
I prefer Gorgon.
I like how Kratos said it once. There were the Gorgons. I'm like, I like how he says that, so I want to call them Gorgons.
Not the only thing that's going to be gone.
That's terrible.
That's my best try.
Wow, that's disappointing to say the least.
Unfortunate. I'll have a zinger before this hour is up.
I doubt it. Let's see. What could have possibly spawned the idea? Because the thing is that humans, despite our different cultures, we're not really all that different from each other. That's why we see a lot of overlap with inventions and also our mythology. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We got to deal with pretty much the same things. Mm-hmm. Not starving to death and not being eaten by wild animals and
people in Africa have it worse.
It's true, but
and Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
in South America.
Of course, if you're being hunted down by a man-eating tiger that is very malicious, I wouldn't say that anyone has it any better or any worse than you at that point. Or what's that movie where the guy gets attacked by the grizzly bear?
Oh, The Revenant.
The Revenant, yeah. I don't think he is having any better of a day than anyone else.
Right. Honestly, he's having a worse day than our theoretical tiger victim, because at least they will snap your neck.
Yeah.
Before they start to eat you.
Yeah.
And then worse than the guy with the bear is the poor person in Africa getting mauled by an entire pack of hyenas. The entire train of hyenas.
I do not want to have the hyena train on me.
Yeah, no, that's
gross. Yeah, no, it's not a good time to be human.
We got to stick to our tools and torches.
Yep.
Because without that,
make fire, have pointy stick.
We are meat bags made of meat, and our physicality will not protect us.
No, we got to use our brains.
Yep, that's what humans do. Speaking of using our brains to bring down monsters, that's the next section after this one. Let's talk about what the hell this thing is.
It's it's a big horse with a horn.
Okay.
But more so than that, there's the idea that we were coming up with, we're cooking on, which was it's an Asiatic rhino?
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it can have scales. It does not necessarily need to be reptilian, because if we want it to have this sense of right and wrong,
that's a mammal trait.
Justice. That's definitely more so of a mammal thing. I will not say that no other animals outside of mammals, but mammals probably the most prevalent.
And, saying right or wrong, it could be like a mix of just, it's a peaceful creature. It's just...
Oh, I don't know if it's peaceful, because look at rhinos. If we're...
give a rhino better eyesight, and I doubt it'll be as violent.
Or maybe it becomes more violent.
I doubt it. They're just big horn puppies.
They get jump scared.
Yeah, that's because they can't see anything.
No, that's what I'm getting at. They're just going about their day, and suddenly, there's a lion in my periphery. Attack.
Yeah, and so
steamroll.
Imagine if they had better eyesight, and they're like, yes, hello, human. That is bringing me a watermelon.
They would be noble.
Yeah. But also another idea is that they've become slightly more lithe over time.
Mm-hmm. Fitting into a jungle a forested environment.
Yeah.
Because let's look at Asiatic rhinos for a minute, because there's definitely the Indian rhino.
I'll definitely be honest. I don't know a whole lot about Asiatic rhinos.
So there's I believe I'm thinking of 4 species of rhino, or there 3 now.
We're talking about the black tip.
So there was the black rhino, the
Yeah.
white rhino. The black rhino is now unfortunately extinct in the wild.
Man.
Yeah. Thanks humanity for that one.
Thanks. Poachers in Africa.
Yeah. Ivory. It'll get you killed.
It's a hell of a drug.
No though. And then there's the Indian rhino, and then the Sumatran rhino. Now my geography is terrible. I don't know what's closer to China and Japan. Well, this would have to be China, because how are rhinos gonna cross that sea?
Well, I was thinking. Well, no.
A lot of animals can swim further than people give them credit for. Camels can swim between island chains.
Well, there's a lot of
chains.
Tropical storms in Japan area. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that it's. It's a stretch, but that a rhino could be like
just enjoying his day, and he gets sucked out to sea.
Sucked out to sea and then thrown around until it ends up on Japan.
And not great whited in that time.
Well, yeah.
Or orchid.
Yeah.
Because remember, orcas are a global species.
Orcas are...
everywhere there's salt water.
It is the top predator of the world.
Of Earth.
Yeah. They're awesome.
I think they might have the widest range of, like, any large mammal.
Yeah.
Because they're in every ocean.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't they be? They take on anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They have no natural predators because they're awesome.
No natural predators except for krakens.
Yeah, krakens. Yeah.
Krakens.
I feel like that's what the sperm whale is for.
Well, I like bigger krakens.
What about bigger sperm whales?
That's a Leviathan situation.
Ready for Leviathan versus Kraken?
See, Leviathan would be a difficult cryptid to do because there's only one of them. And also, it's not really a cryptid as much as it's a biblical
creature. It's less cryptid, more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to do more cryptids.
We need to do... Well, we have been. We've been doing, I would say...
Chupacabras, really.
Chupacabra, yeah, but, I mean... What is considered a cryptid typically is just what's in vogue in terms of the cryptid space.
Well, no, right? Cryptid is a creature that may or may not exist.
And you're talking like the actual...
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking more like the...
I'm talking more like...
Because people say Mothman's a cryptid.
Let's talk about the credibility of a sighting.
Mm.
But before we do that, continuing on with Kirin. Now, let's focus on China for now.
Which one of us is the one with the ADHD, because you're no better than I am.
I beg to differ. I bring us back on track.
No.
All right.
No.
All right.
Absolutely not.
Well, I just did.
So...
Tee-hee.
Yeah, but you're also the one that got us off track.
Maybe so, maybe so.
The idea of it being a rhino, but somehow a group of them being swept out to sea. I can tell you geography, old, like, have to ask a prehistory geographer about, like, maybe Japanese land bridges or things of that nature. How did certain animals get to... They might have had a population at some point on the island, because how did bears get into Japan at some point, right? Because there are Japanese, like... brown bears.
Well, bears are much better inter-island swimmers than rhinos.
Yeah.
Because I imagine rhinos are very dense.
Yeah, but again, like, even still, I don't care how good of a swimmer they are, you're still crossing, a lot of ocean. Like, it's not like you can just see Japan from China. Right, It's not just there. It looks small on a map, but there's a lot of ocean between China and Japan.
It's true.
Now I don't know like exactly like the higher northern islands, which I believe is where like the Japanese brown bear is.
Yes,
it's in the northern part of Japan, which I suppose would make sense if it was closer to that region, that area. But before
we focus on Japan, let's talk about China, because then we have a definite population migrating upwards from India,
Right.
and they're just right there.
Well, so if it's the Kirin and it's described as a lot more brawny, bulky, and ignoring, the fact that it's supposed to be like can stand on grass like an elf walks upon the surface of
We're
of
ignoring
soap.
that. We're
Soap
ignoring that.
of snow.
Of soap.
Walks upon the surface of soap. It does not
Legolas
touch me.
walking on that soap.
He does. No, Legolas would not do well in prison.
I think he would do really well.
Well, yeah, he could fight anyone and anything. But
Yeah.
he's also got a pretty mouth. So there's that. Thanks, Orlando Bloom. But the Kirin being a subspecies of the Indian rhino, it makes sense that it hasn't changed a whole lot because it's not terribly far away.
Well,
in terms of like brawniness.
Let's talk about how that comes to be, because we can say that the ancestors of the Indian rhino, some of them took root there, others moved further up, so we can make this a younger species,
Right.
which gives it more time to
We're
diversify.
talking like an ice age species of rhino.
Not necessarily, because that's your Elasmotherium, your woolly rhino, which is in the north, far west, North America.
Right. And
And what I'm picturing is, because this thing has to get mistaken for having scales, and the Indian rhino is a good jumping off point for that, because the Indian rhino has very well defined plates in its armor.
Oh yeah.
And
I know what
so
you're talking
I'm
about.
thinking, what if that progressed into almost a pangolin-esque?
Pangolin, yeah.
Yeah, because the Sumatran rhino is the only remaining hairy rhino in the world. And not full wool coat, it's more of a they have it when they're young and it gradually kind of declines over time thing. But they have the ability to grow hair. And for those of you who don't know, anything you see on a mammal is a modified hair follicle. Except for dense, leathery skin, which you get on elephants and rhinos.
Right. Basically, the pangolin scales are made out of keratin, and keratin is the same stuff the hair is made out of.
There you go.
Also,
super dense plates.
the
and
horn
stuff.
on a rhino is also made out of keratin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, antlers, on the other hand, are not made out of keratin. They're bone.
Antlers are not bone.
Or they're not bone.
Or
What
antlers
are they? They have
bone
blood
that
vessels.
breaks off.
Bones. The horns.
Horns and antlers. Horns are bones because they're attached to the skull.
Horns are not bones.
Horns are not
keratin.
bones?
Horns are keratin that stay forever.
And yet the bones,
And
the
the
actual
bones
part
are
of the
thing
skull,
that fall off
breaks off. Why?
and bleed and
Nature's
Nature's
why?
scary.
Nature, why you
and
doing
I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
But, however, furthermore,
In addition to.
Yeah, the idea of it being a furry,
Not furry.
or a furry rhino that is evolved to, or a hairy rhino, whatever, evolved to have plates. But the real question is what?
Tigers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
aren't there tigers in India?
Yeah.
So why would that be any different?
More tigers.
More tigers.
There are more tigers in China than India. That is not factual. However, in this setting, we have other creatures to contend
That's
with too.
true. China's a mess when it
Dragons.
comes to
Which I'm
Dragons
imagining
are pretty
Chinese
chill.
dragons as very long-bodied Asiatic water monitors, but 30 feet long and vicious.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, then where does the part where they're like beings of wisdom come from?
Because if you think that a spring or a lake is inhabited by an immortal, possibly dangerous beast, you won't go there. And therefore, your kids won't go and get themselves ripped apart and devoured.
Right.
If we talk about Chinese dragons in the future, we'll come back to this design. Because it was almost, I almost considered Asian water monitors as our Kirin, and then also the Chinese alligator, which likewise doesn't really work
With
because
long legs and
yeah, kind of a Caprosuchus deal. But no, I like the I like the rhino.
I'm a big fan of the rhino idea.
Yeah, and we give them better eyesight.
Yeah. Now the Japanese version, right? This creature perhaps the same woolly rhino,
Right.
or the Indian rhino,
Yeah.
travels to Japan somehow, right?
Well, it's not woolly at that point.
Well, you know what I mean. The one with hair, or you mean though it would have scales at this point?
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Or perhaps before it started evolving to better fit this environment, it also traveled toward, or no, it would have to have the same evolution.
I'm picturing, well, the evolution, like we said, is a staircase, and you can't go down a stair.
Right.
So as a species is migrating along this path, which is further north and then beginning to go east towards Japan, towards towards the coast in this case, there's constant evolution happening because new traits are always arising, and better ones get selected more often.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, too bad they couldn't evolve to have better eyes. Just rhinos in general.
Well, rhinos don't need it.
Because they're big boys.
Well, because anything that comes towards a rhino gets flattened.
Except for an elephant.
Except for an
I've
elephant.
watched, that fight, a quote unquote fight.
Not a fight. It's the equivalent of
throwdown.
throwing a toddler at a professional. It's a toddler and Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
To be topical, it's Logan Paul and Mike Tyson. Or which one is it? Jake Paul?
I think it's Jake Paul.
Disrespectfully, I hope that Jake Paul gets knocked out.
Fights Mike Tyson?
Well, no, he's already fighting Mike Tyson, but I hope that he gets violated.
I hope it's not another Floyd Mayweather situation where he gets paid to take the fall. Because that's totally what happened.
That would be disgusting.
Yeah.
And I would be disappointed.
I don't think that
hold on.
Mike Tyson's ego would allow him to.
Floyd Mayweather fought Logan Paul.
Either or.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Either or. Jake Paul has, for those not in the know, recently made something of a boxing career, but he very notably fights aged fighters who are
old and
10
retired.
or more years older than him, retired, and haven't had wins in the past stretch of time.
Now he's going to fight Mike Tyson, and he's going to lose to Mike Tyson because it's Mike Tyson.
I hope that we see a serious injury, and I will say no more. I don't like Jake Paul. I don't like him.
I just don't like him.
I just don't like him. He's a slimy little rat.
Yeah.
But I think, given the circumstances, he is currently the better brother because he didn't scam people out of $30 million.
That would
Looking at you, Logan.
also do it.
Yeah, no.
Of course.
Spite in my heart for those two. What a pair.
What a pair.
What a pair.
Like a pair of... Never mind.
So, speaking of Mike Tyson, this rhino is going to punch things.
Nice segue.
But with its face.
Yes.
And its horn.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
In Japan, I imagine... So this creature, right? It exists.
It does. Good one.
Japan is a lot more mountainous. Well, China's pretty dang mountainous too.
It's true.
But Japan is also really mountainous.
I'm picturing more of a dense, forested kind of situation.
Right.
However, I think that mountainous terrain could lend itself to that description of horse-like hooves, where we could get kind of a mountain goat situation.
Right. Also, I think that would benefit it to be more lithe if it was in more mountainous terrain.
Yeah. You do not see burly mountain dwellers. Except for
bears.
debate. Oh, no, because bears don't live on crags.
That's true.
Except for that. Oh, well, no. Maybe I am wrong because there's that
Short-faced
video.
bear?
No, not at all. Short-laced.
Cave bear?
No, also no. But there was that video recently on YouTube of a mountaintop hiker getting rushed by a black bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, black bears are like climbers.
Black bears go everywhere. They're very
Bear-like.
yes, they are bear-like. They're bears.
Well, yeah.
But they're very very adaptable. Is the word I was looking for.
Very much so.
They can grin and bear it.
Hey.
Yeah, there's one. There's one.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
this Kirin.
Better suited towards mountainous environments, so it becomes more lithe.
More muscular,
And
less
because
fatty.
You don't...
and when it's not in mountains, it's in forested environments, so also becoming slimmer, is an advantage.
Right. And since we go off the mountaintop mindset, or the
not
mountaintop, you know what I mean, the evolutionary hilltop,
Right? Yes.
theory, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't lose its scales Wouldn't lose its horn.
No, because they also help to insulate it.
Right.
I would think.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, I think that the horn, and this is where we might see it become more, what was the alicorn like?
Right.
Is it's a really heavy thing, and if we want this rhino to have maybe a little bit more neck, so it can see up to
see over
perfect its give its better vision now more advantage because it's in mountainous terrain. I think that a lighter horn would benefit it, and for all you naysayers, rhinos have had long necks in the past.
It's true.
Because the largest animal, well, the second largest mammal to ever walk the earth, Palacerotherium, there you go, or Indricotherium as it was once called, I want to say 25-foot tall rhino.
That's really tall.
Long neck, no horn.
Huh.
Yeah. The largest
defines a rhino?
It's in the rhino family tree.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Mammals are not my specialty when it comes to paleontology. I can only tell you that Palacerotherium is a rhino.
Rhino's not my specialty. Here, let me throw out the entire Latin name of it real quick.
Well, that's not the whole Latin name. That's just the
You know what I mean.
The equivalent of a scientific common name.
You're giving it a scientific common name. All right, so yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Better suited towards a mountainous environment, lighter horn and longer neck so that it can see better.
Scales. Maybe a mane on the back.
It is called a ox-like tail.
Yeah.
Which I'd say rhinos have a rather ox-like tail.
Rhinos have a pretty short tail. Not quite in the hippo realm, but I think maybe it could grow longer as a counterbalance while moving in mountainous terrain.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say a horse tail or an ox tail is a very good counterbalance. It's just kind of there.
I mean, it's better than a hippo's tail.
Yeah, but a hippo's tail is just there to fan its crap.
Yeah,
it's really it.
It's a spoon.
It's a sprinkler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Look at videos of backwards hippos on YouTube. It's the best thing in the world.
Oh gosh.
I hope that we can do an African cryptid that's a hippo one of these days because.
Aren't half the cryptids in Africa just hippos or elephants?
Better.
A good quarter of
them. Well, the
just...
Groot slang.
Yeah.
The elephant snake.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
There's so many that's just it's got an elephant's head on a different body. Yeah. It's that makes sense.
It's because
it's the scariest dang thing in the jungle, just Hachi the Silent over there. But
elephants are terrifying.
Elephants are terrifying.
Never forget it.
Never.
Because they certainly won't. They will come back and trample your coffin after you're dead.
It's true.
It happened to an old woman.
Don't be mean to elephants. Matter of fact, treat them very well so that they remember your face. And
treat them with respect.
Treat them with respect,
as you should.
That when you die, elephants come to your funeral. That would be cool.
I wonder if they would.
I bet they would.
At least that one was spiteful enough to attend a funeral
just to
negatively.
Imagine, well, because they're very in tune with death. You know, they
revere it.
They do revere it. They go and they visit the graves of their ancestors.
Elephant graveyards, yeah.
Yeah, elephant graveyards. So imagine if you spent the time to help a herd of elephants or something in a way to a point where they trusted you or something. You know, I bet you could do it. And then, after you died, elephants would come to your grave. That would be so cool.
Maybe. I don't like that elephants are the aspect of nature that we're oh yeah, treat them with respect, because we know that they'll come and desecrate our graves if we don't.
I think it has something to do with intelligence, because
I think that
seek,
as a rule, we should treat nature with respect.
Oh yeah, true. But there's a difference between nature with respect because, it's going to, beat the heck out of you, and respect because it's almost like a near peer in a way. like, I mean, nothing is as smart as us on our planet, but elephants, like, the fact that they have an intelligence that is, like, generational, like how it is it feels very human.
I don't know. I would argue that there's an argument to be made, sloppy English on my part. But I would say that there's an argument to be made in favor of cetaceans as near equals to humans, maybe even equal, because our fatal flaw as a species is trying to look at things through our lens. And so we look at an octopus and say, this octopus isn't as smart as we are because it doesn't have written language.
No, I say octopuses aren't as smart as we are because they'll only live for 5 years.
If that... See? You just proved my point. Oh, this thing has a short lifespan, therefore less intelligent.
Yes, but our intelligence comes from generational learning.
That too,
right?
Among other things.
They don't have generational learning. They don't learn from their past ancestors.
And so hear me out. Because dolphins and whales don't... Well, I mean, they have instincts, yes, but they also teach. Orcas teach their young how to beach and catch sea lions. They teach how to... what's it called? Like super wave, where they pull a massive wave over an iceberg to wash seals off.
Right.
A lot of that taught knowledge, which you see in other massively intelligent species like chimps and like elephants.
Do crows?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say crows, yeah.
I think crows do. Crows are much more instinctual in comparison to a cetacean, but they also do teach their young behaviors.
Can you explain to the audience what a cetacean just...
Cetaceans are whales.
Yeah.
In short. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. But if you haven't noticed, we kind of revere, like... Well, I say revere in a kind of a really twisted kind of way because SeaWorld. But, like, orcas and dolphins, if you haven't noticed, we spend a lot of attention on. Mm-hmm. Not us, but, like, humans. Right?
I think that a lot of people most likely feel bad for the whaling industry, and by extension, SeaWorld, because that's arguably worse. Because it's what if a little pod of orcas kidnapped a person and put them on a floating buoy? Because that's the equivalent space to taking a whale and locking it in what's basic 400-gallon, or not 400-gallon, but a swimming pool.
Yeah. In
comparison to the ocean.
Right.
And then they make you do cartwheels for the rest of your life.
Thanks, Shamu.
That's a whole other topic, and we've officially gone on a tangent.
Well, yeah, but we're also padding for time because we're only 40 minutes in.
Well, let's think about this Kirin, or Kirin in this case, and say, how intelligent do we want it to be? Aha, this was all building up to something.
Well, I don't think that rhinos are very intelligent.
Well, that goes hand in hand with them having terrible eyesight. They're as smart as they need to be.
That's
nature is efficient as it needs to be.
Yeah. So what environmental factors would play into them becoming intelligent, but also what comes with intelligence is community.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And here's what I'm thinking. Because they are more lithe and less able to defend themselves alone. Of course, they would still be capable, because I'm imagining as the horn grows lighter on their head, it also grows thinner. And so maybe it's more of a bladed situation than a rhino's horn is more of a crushing implement than anything else.
Right.
I mean, of course, they
it's
can
a can
still
opener.
Impale something.
Yeah.
But...
kind of.
Yeah.
It's a can opener.
It's a can opener. But no, I think that being small and facing whatever mystical predators we end up fleshing out China with, I think a herding lifestyle would probably benefit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have
the problem is
the pressures of...
Kirin are typically described as lone creatures, I believe. But that's neither here nor there.
Oh no, but I've got something for that. So imagine that you have a very communal species. Very communal, where maybe they have this eyesight so that they can watch the mountain crags for any kind of sign of danger. Maybe a rock
right,
coming to attempt to pull away one of their family.
Yes, the rocks of China.
Yeah, I mean, a bird that big would patrol miles and miles and miles.
Yeah, they just tend to exist in, I believe, Saudi Arabia.
Arabia, yes.
Yeah. So,
Arabian Nights. That's neither here nor there. But imagine you do take one of these very communal, and in that realm, probably quite intelligent species, and you took away its herd. And now it sees what it recognizes as very intelligent tribal primates, and it's like, hey there.
So is it outside of its herd now?
Separated from its herd by some means or another.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
A Ricky Tikky Tavi situation.
Gotcha. I see.
Mm-hmm.
So it separates from its herd and then sees a bunch of humans, and it's like, hey, those are tribal beings. I'm going to go say hi.
Yeah.
I want food.
Just not necessarily looking
like
for any
wolf situation.
anything, not really looking to attack, but just an animal minding its business near something that it doesn't consider a threat. Much like
Or
how
it sees horses, and it's like, hey, yo,
Yeah, maybe.
homie, what's up?
much as a lone elephant would view a tribe, a troop of humans.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, elephants have probably more in the realm of like being cautious around humans because they know what we can do.
Yeah. But on the other hand, in Asia, elephants and people tend to go hand in hand a lot of the time.
For the most part.
People have elephants.
Well, Asian elephants. There's hardy wild elephant presence as well in Asia.
A what?
A hardy elephant. Wild elephants. They still exist.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that they're all domesticated or anything. I don't think you can really domesticate an elephant.
But you said they go hand in hand.
I meant that there's a lot of culture-wise in a lot of places in Asia.
True.
Where elephants are common. Humans and elephants, there's a lot of overlap between the two. Elephant riding, elephants warfare.
Hannibal.
That's Africa, but I believe I can't.
That just came up because elephant warfare.
Yeah.
Well, wait, didn't he make a pass across? He took elephants over some major mountain range.
Yes.
I think to get to Rome. Yeah.
Yes, correct. He crossed the. Oh man.
Himalayas.
No, the Himalayas are in Asia, my guy.
Well,
Rome
I'm
is
bad
in-
at geography. Hold on.
Man, the history part of my brain is fried, and I'm supposed to be the history major
You're
here.
the history guy.
I know. Now you got me looking up multiple things. Hannibal
Mountain range.
Mountain.
That's the spelling.
Range crossing. The Alps.
Oh,
Yeah,
the Alps.
The Alps.
The Alps. The Swiss Alps. Okay. Vietnam.
Hold up. Sister Rebellion. Near me? No. The Trung sisters. So the Trung sisters, Trung? I cannot pronounce.
It's a word.
Yeah, the Vietnamese rebellion. They were sisters, twins, I believe, or either twins or just women that lost their husbands because of the Chinese, and then started a rebellion against the Chinese as the Vietnamese, and then they
Vietnamese. Caleb.
I'm sorry, I say it funny.
Namis.
I don't care.
Namis.
My knees.
No.
They fought on elephants. You shut your mouth. They rode elephants.
They did.
There's a lot of elephants.
Elephant riding.
You can even. There's a whole bunch of pictures.
And so, to that note, do we think that if Kirin were mostly benevolent, and they probably were,
Yeah.
to people, because they, unless we provoke them, in which case they will go into our rhinoceros rage, they would probably be pretty chill. So I imagine riding is maybe on the table.
Maybe.
Imagine a battle mount.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Because it's got armor. It's got natural armor.
Yeah.
Keratinous plates.
I don't think that natural armor will.
Imagine stabbing a pangolin.
Yeah, imagine stabbing a pangolin.
Do you think a knife can go through those plates?
Yes.
What about a giant pangolin?
A giant? I don't know. It depends.
What about a pangolin scaled up to the size of a rhino?
I'm saying, what about now the skin of a rhino?
I think a giant pangolin's plates are probably around an inch thick.
It's still
maybe.
It's still keratin.
Yeah, your fingernails are keratin.
Yeah.
Imagine stabbing through an inch and a half of fingernail.
Oh yeah, it's split because it's made of strands. It's
Hmm.
not. It's not woven. It's just. It's straight growth, right? I mean, even if you look at a finger, it is straight strands. So to split it is really easy. You ever split a nail?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. See, but
It would make armor
it
them
would make
easier.
it good armor. But
Yeah.
rhino hide has been used to make armor in a lot of different cultures.
Yeah, so this is rhino hide
yeah.
with keratin on top.
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
no, it would be nutty.
Yeah, so they got natural armor.
Of course.
What you saying?
On the other hand, like people that rode elephants would just armor elephants.
Yeah.
Right? They'd just put massive.
I think
armor
a
on them, which
rhino's skin is
so much cooler.
thicker than an elephant's.
And now imagine putting armor on a rhino. Or on
a rhino that also has armor
yeah.
and is a probably incredibly agile animal as well because it's more lithe and it's used to mountainous terrain.
Well, that would be the Japanese one. The Chinese one is more rhino shaped. It's more bulky. And
It's still slimmer than your average rhino.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It would be more in your
It'd be more like an ox.
Oxen.
Yeah.
or a gar as they're called in that region.
Right. But
Gaur
I'm just saying, like, steel
or a gur.
steel kind of beats most natural occurring thing, like armors on
So
biology.
Kirin naturally produced steel.
Yeah,
in their
right.
armor.
Yeah, that's how that works.
That'd be cool.
Well, it's like that one worm that has the what are they called?
Copper teeth.
Copper teeth. What
Yeah.
are those called?
Bloodworms?
Bloodworms.
Or ragworms, I believe.
Ragworm. That's what I was looking for.
Is it copper teeth? It might be another.
It's copper.
It's
I
copper.
believe it's copper. Yeah, I was just looking at them not too long ago. But it turns out I'm totally wrong. I'm just bullshit.
Maybe.
No.
Just look up steel worm teeth.
Yes.
Iron worm teeth.
Iron worm teeth.
You get the driller from Transformers 3. The shockwave rides.
Yeah. Even still, like, copper is still one of the weakest metals, and yeah.
But it's a natural creature, you incorporating metals into its build.
It's true. It's true.
Which
and it's
is pretty
super
cool.
It is so cool. And it's so cool to run with when you're doing creature design. It's like, oh, it's something that actually happens. Let's run with that.
Yeah. So from this point moving forward, all dragon armor has iron sulfide in it.
Okay. And?
It's iron. Iron scales.
I mean, that would explain why it's so. They would say that the steels are like iron, or the scales are like iron.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I don't know where they're getting their iron supplements from because that's a lot of iron.
Diet.
What are they eating? That's
Other iron dragons.
yeah.
There you go. See feedback
that's
loop.
just Nexus.
Feedback loop.
No,
I'm happy
if
now.
if your main prey is yourself, you know there's something wrong.
Well, not the same species, but something with similar armaments.
Sure. No wonder they all died out.
Dragons didn't die out. There's still 2 left.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe Africa.
Yeah, sleeping, and then,
well, no,
and then rain of fire happens.
According to, what's it called? We were talking about this in the Mermaid episode when National Geographic made the...
the mockumentaries.
They're mockumentaries. I think it's called The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
Where there was one dragon left in all of Europe, and then a couple knights came and killed it. That documentary is wild as a whole because it starts them off, like their evolutionary line, back in the Cretaceous. So a dragon fights a T-Rex.
That sounds awesome.
It is. It's one of the documentaries of all time.
I feel like once you have fire breath, I don't think many animals can stand against you. You know, especially like, you know, I don't think a T-Rex can beat, you know, billowing fire.
I don't know. I feel like that's a... A conversation for another time. We're moving on. Well, since we're talking about theoretical fights, I guess we can move into that one freak scenario where
I don't want to hunt it.
The local Kirin is not happy with you, and I mean maybe. Ooh, okay, hold on. Back into creature design for a minute, because maybe that sense of justice.
Oh, maybe that's similar to like how
dogs can sense when like there's a bad person nearby.
Well, I was thinking more of like elephant memory, and like that woman that treated them poorly. It's a sense of justice against them and their herd.
I don't know, because I know in my brain the story I want to write. So roll with me here. Roll with me here. Because think about it like how dogs, if say you're walking your dog late at night,
right,
and they start bristling, hackles raised at like this guy who's coming down the street towards you, you would trust your dog in a second that guy is bad news.
100%.
I don't know if it's a scent thing where they can kind of tell the chemicals that are firing, because a dog's sense of smell is 70 times better than a human's.
God, I wish I had that.
No, because imagine someone rips one right in front of you and now your brain is in shock.
I met a girl that had heightened sense of smell.
Really?
Yeah, she had like, was it hyper something or whatnot?
What is it? Disease? That sounds fun.
Well, yes.
Until it wasn't.
So they can basically, there's people that have higher smelling ability, basically just naturally. And she's like, yeah, people are just constantly farting, constantly. It's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Imagine you'd probably get used to it.
Probably.
But okay.
But you also have, at least twice better human or scent than a human. So
twice, yeah.
Yeah. It's
shoot.
It would suck.
So I don't know if it's a scent thing or like a tiny like posture reading.
Yeah.
But rhinos, because they have terrible eyesight, have a really, really good sense of smell. I imagine, looking at our evolutionary landscape, there's no reason to not have a good sense of smell.
Yeah, they wouldn't lose their sense of smell.
Yeah. So imagine if in some ancient communities, because I know I'm going to write something from a long time ago,
Fun.
long time back, not modern.
I'm excited.
Probably you employ them as a form of a lie detector almost, because if someone's suspect and committed a murder, maybe you take them to like the local Kirin that your town's been feeding and caring for, and it just kind of lives in harmony with you. And
just a walking lie detector.
Just
That's
a walking lie
hilarious.
detector. And if it feels like something is a threat to the community that it's like protecting.
Oh, dude! Imagine since they're such high community animals that they'll just bond to any community that will accept them.
Yeah, because that's what I was getting at. Is like it's a herd animal that somehow gets separated, and now you're its herd.
That's kind of cute.
Isn't that sweet?
That's wholesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Okay. So, don't fight it, because on one hand I'm sure you could, but on the other hand it's now got a rider with a spear or a bow, and it's covered in armor on top of its armor, on top of its padded skin, on top of muscle, on top of fat, or fat and then muscle, and it's charging you at 30 miles per hour, and its horn is a sword.
How do I deal with it?
Imagine
how do I deal with it?
Mass eye thrust.
Even easier than that. Dig a hole.
Always comes back to dig a hole.
Look, it's going to charge straight at you.
Yeah.
Just, it's a hole.
And then
congratulations.
It jumps over the hole.
It doesn't see the hole.
Imagine if they have...
I mean, rhinos can't jump.
Rhinos... What?
There's only one animal that can't jump, and that's elephants.
Yeah.
But rhinos, that means the rhinos can jump.
Rhinos can, and now imagine a more lithe, mountainous rhino.
Right.
Imagine if it's got a mountain goat leap.
It's not going to see the hole.
The rider will, and they'll tell it to jump it.
No. They're not going to see the hole.
Drat. Well, in that case...
Because I've covered the hole.
In that case, you have now a Kirin at the bottom of a hole.
With spikes through it.
It's dead.
It's dead.
Because you just made a whole community really sad.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't have charged me with a Kirin. That sucks on them.
And
Go suck eggs.
This is when the attack happens. Not from the front, but from the sides. The other two Kirins you didn't even see were there.
But you see, because I was expecting there to be... I was planning for the inevitable that they would try to flank me, I've dug other holes.
I am
sitting in a box.
Fine, I have a rocket launcher that wins.
Anti-rocket launcher shield.
Anti-rocket
launcher hole.
What?
Anti-rocket
Is this
launcher
just an interdimensional hole?
No, I just jumped into a hole when you fired it.
There's a mine at the bottom of the hole.
No, because I dug the hole. Where'd you get the mine? How'd you get there?
It's a boring mine, so it tunnels underneath and it senses for holes and it pops up at the bottom.
That's why I dug several holes.
There's a mine in every single one.
No. That's why I dug smaller holes.
Damn you.
You see, when you dig a entrenchment, right, you dig a smaller hole below for the case that someone throws a grenade into your foxhole. You can push the grenade into the hole, and that way it doesn't kill you.
Yeah, would that take you out of the lethal radius? Because what is it, like 60 meters?
No, because it's surrounded, and it loses its fragmentation.
So the blast would just go straight up out of this.
Yeah,
chimney.
and it's over there, and you're over here. Huh. It's not going to be a fun time.
Probably not.
But you're not going to die. You're going to be, concussed. But
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a grenade hole. You can push it in. Good. But yeah,
flesh-eating war crime bacteria.
I don't know.
Antibiotics.
I was about to say,
I've got a thing of yogurt right here, and I'm chugging it.
Alcohol.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what else?
Signs of it in an area.
Oh, why is that there?
Because
trees that have just had bark shaved off of them.
Similar
to a grizzly bear, but instead they sharpen their horn along. Probably not sharpen, but they cut off all the bark. It's a kind of marking.
What if they use their horn to knock fruits off of trees?
Well, that'd be fun, right? And keep in mind they have a longer neck too, so they can reach higher up.
Yeah, they clamber up. They throw their front hooves up onto the tree trunk, and then use their horn to knock fruit down from higher.
That's
branches.
Fun. This is a sweet creature.
Yeah, this is the first one that it's not inherently terrible, and I don't want to hurt it. I want to give it pets and an apple and ride it in a sugar cube.
Make sure that it's well cared for, and it'll look out for you and tell you if you have any dastardly murderers.
I'm gonna love it and squeeze it and call it George.
How would you squeeze it?
By hugging it, by loving it.
Yeah, I don't know how big this thing was.
I'm sure I can get my arms somewhere around its neck.
Probably its neck, yeah. Because it's probably not as tall as a rhino.
I was just assuming horse-sized.
Yeah, probably horse, maybe
smaller. A little bit wider. I mean, a Kirin, definitely.
Definitely.
A Keelan, not so much.
Yeah. Keelans are the one that people ride. A Kirin is more of a...
You could ride a Kirin.
Maybe.
I mean, there's horses in Japan. Samurai were mounted archers.
Well, Kirin being described as more deer-like.
Well, yeah, but also,
find me a deer that I can ride.
Dragon-headed. So I imagine it's not terribly different from a horse in size. Right? So,
well, dragon doesn't refer to a size category.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it also
level dragon.
Think about what it came from and what it is now. I wouldn't see why it would go smaller than I'm saying in terms, not in terms of size, but in terms of how they look, more deer-like. Like an elk is still.
I mean, I can't.
You could ride an elk.
Probably.
Elks get pretty dang big.
They do. I'm thinking about their legs, which I guess.
But also, this thing is again. Remember, this thing isn't just a deer.
I cannot imagine a rhino with deer with legs. That's impossible.
Yeah, no. Imagine with more stocky goat-like legs or something. Yeah. But longer. Imagine it, dude. Imagine a high, a retainer samurai or someone over the retainer of a shogun or the shogun themselves having a Kirin mount.
Ooh.
In a battle, riding one, and it's better than all the other horses.
It's got the big flags on the back of the saddle,
and it's got the massive horn, and they're riding into battle with bows and whatnot. And and the arrows when they don't hit properly, they bounce off.
Yeah,
because I don't believe the samurai rode armored horses. They were much more mobile in
Yeah.
combat. They like light cavalry.
But
type
this thing
deal.
can carry that load.
But imagine like the arrows bouncing off the scales, like because they're ricocheting because they're not hitting directly on. They're bouncing off because they're not hitting perfectly, and so like the mount is like it's like the invincible steed or type deal. The Kirin, that would be cool.
A very high prestige mount.
Yeah, I mean, like something you have to like raise when it's like a full
Yeah.
type deal. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Imagine, last thing. Imagine armor on the head that carried up the horn and extended the blade. It's got an axe mount on the front of its horn. Just swing down.
That'd just be heavy.
Yeah, but keep in mind, they're pretty strong.
Yeah.
Stronger than a horse.
These are the lighter ones, but yes, stronger than a horse, I'd imagine. And less fragile than a horse.
Much less fragile.
Horses are so fragile.
Horses are bad at being mounts. They're really good for distance.
Yeah.
Until they run out of juice on you.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, I'm going to have to take you out back and take them out.
Spoon feed you to a cougar.
Spoon feed you lead.
Oh no. Oh no.
Ain't gonna have no kids.
You gotta skip the middle step and just put it directly into the glue press.
It's just like my favorite, horse inseminator, Glock, the company.
Sorry, inseminator?
Yeah, they sold two things: handguns and horse juice. Horse baby batter.
The more you know.
Glock horse baby batter.
I'm unhappy.
A lot of race horses come from Glock.
I've had enough.
I'm a fountainhead of uncomfortable information.
Okay.
On that note,
bringing it back in.
I think that's it. It's a rhino that scaled rhino that has
long neck, small
head,
hooves,
high communal sense. That has led to a higher intelligence, because that kind of comes hand in hand a lot of the time. Good
sense of smell, and by extension, really good lie detector.
I'd say it's like hand in hand, but creatures that are highly communal and mobile, like migrating. China's a big place.
Octopus aren't really migratory.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder why octopus need to have such high intelligence.
Because they've got a lot of problem solving to do.
Maybe it's because they live for such a short amount of time that they have to.
Because think about, if by that logic, a mayfly would be really intelligent because it lives for a day.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of space. And they're also basically a robot.
Octopus, I think, are so intelligent in part due to their method of hunting. Because they have to problem solve. They have to pry open bivalves. They have to trap crabs.
All right,
I think their intelligence is built upon by their toolkit.
Interesting.
And the diversity of prey they go after.
So, like, you kind of end up with, like, either A, it's an animal that's very communal and migratory, or B, it's very manipulative, like,
trickery.
Well, manipulative as in, like, they manipulate things with their hands or tentacles or whatever.
And we had the advantage of being both.
How smarter are otters?
How smart are otters?
Yeah.
As mammals go, not unintelligent.
Because they use tools.
And they're communal.
Yeah.
Sea otters are pretty smart.
I can't... it's just like what I said. It's a race of hyper-intelligent otters. Are you ready to have...
I think South Park did that.
Yeah?
Yeah. In the episode where Cartman goes to the future, there are
hyper-intelligent otter
tribe of otters.
I'm okay with this future. I like otters.
You would hate that episode.
Yeah?
I'm not going to say why.
I see. Okay, well, on that note, this has been Snicker Snack. I think we figured it out. I think it's pretty cool.
I think so.
I like it.
Next episode, we got another fearsome critter.
Oh yeah, we're doing the Dunghavenooter.
That's the boy.
Ah man, get ready to get snorted.
Whatever this episode was, prepare for unhinged nonsense by comparison.
This was pretty cut and paste aside from our tangents, but I feel like they worked out at the end of the day.
And I feel like there wasn't a bad tangent here.
Nah. No,
because they were all informative,
except for Mike Tyson.
Listen,
Or Mike Tyson
and the Paul brothers.
The less we talk about them, the better.
True. Don't feed them.
Yeah. But aside from that, I think it went pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Dunghaven Neuter next.
I've been Cal.
I've been Caleb. I don't think I have any like closing remarks or anything.
Check out our socials. We don't know if there's anything there. At this point, I might just go and get stuff.
Yeah, I think so, because, well, we don't get paid, but we pay them in coffee if they actually post anything, but they don't, so they don't get any coffee. So, on that note...
they just get to stay locked in the basement.
Yep, absolutely. So, on that note...
go pet your dog.
Go pet your dog. Don't run over any cats.
And stay Snicker snack.
No!